If you're like me, you've probably had some normal days over the past few weeks, and you've probably had some high days, and you've probably had some low days. Today, I must admit, I'm struggling a little bit, and I don't know if that's because it's sort of dreary outside. I don't know if that's because I'm just missing family and friends. I don't know. It could just be me. But I read this quote that sort of changed my perspective. And it's by Elisabeth Elliot. Elisabeth Elliot, you might remember, as the wife of Jim Elliot, who was one of the 5 missionaries who were martyred in Ecuador as they were trying to share the gospel with a group of people down there who had never heard the good news of Jesus. And Elisabeth Elliot said this: "The secret of joy is Christ in me, not me in different circumstances." I'm going to repeat that because I think it's so good. The secret of joy is Christ in me, not me in different circumstances. And as I was thinking about that quote, this phrase came to me: joy inexpressible and full of glory. Well, I couldn't quite remember where it was, so I looked it up, and it's found in 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 8. And in this passage, Peter is writing to a church that actually is undergoing persecution. And he says this: "Though you have not seen him," that is Jesus, "you love him. And though you do not see him now, but believe in him, you greatly rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory." So Peter is saying that the reason that you have joy is because of your relationship with Christ, the risen one, but the one whom you have personally not seen. And I started to think about, what does it mean that it is joy inexpressible? And I think there are 2 things that it means. First of all, there's no words for it. You know, sometimes when we have that joy in spite of our circumstances, we can't put that into words in a way that other people will understand. It's inexpressible, it's undescribable. But also, I think that sometimes it's because it's so deep-seated in us that our soul doesn't have words to express that joy. It has nothing to do with outside circumstances. It has to do with our relationship with Christ. And that got me to thinking about the verse in Psalms 16 that says, "In your presence is fullness of joy." And a lot of times when I've thought about that verse, I've thought about the fact that someday, when we're in the presence of God, we will have fullness of joy. But the reality is, if we believe the Bible, we are in God's presence right now because he has promised never to leave us, never to forsake us. And so if in your presence, if in God's presence is fullness of joy, my joy can be full today. It doesn't matter about the weather. It doesn't matter who I'm seeing or not seeing. It doesn't matter about the circumstances in my life. It has to do with me in the presence of God, knowing that that's not just for eternity, that's for today. I hope that you will find that joy today in your relationship with Christ. And even if you can't put it into words, even if you can't express it, I hope that you will understand that it's not our circumstances that bring us joy, it's Christ in us.